I just didn't know that. Yeah, I'm really
Yes.
Whatever you want to do. Even live anywhere.
Before you start. Oh, you want to do that? Yeah.
How are you feeling now? You're having this on. Yeah, we'll run it over here.
That's fine.
Have a quick analysis going in the first So welcome to the first workshop as part of the Help Co-Creation Lab. I'm Rachel Stanley, part of the Co-Creation Lab, and I would first like to say thank you very much on behalf of the Co-Creation Lab to the Design Thinking Network for the workshop that they organised for later on, and for the Media and Entertainment Club, who organised photography and I believe it is being video. So the order, firstly, can I just check that everyone has a post-it? Does everyone have a post-it? Okay. Has everyone, put your hand up if you have not used a post-it. Okay. Can you put your name,
program,
gender, okay. And if you haven't handed, could you hand all your post-its to that corner of the room?
Only if you stay for the workshop afterwards. So if you're only here for the speech, then you don't have to give it to the
Is that all clear to everyone? I'll take that as yes. So first you'll get a bit of an introduction to this co-creation lab from Enrico Matteo. And then you'll hear from Behrouz Hariri on his amazing work as part of IDEO. And then there's a time for the workshop, which is like network. So first,
Co-creation lab is a joint venture between the most interesting clubs of the house. But with to build cooler, we need to the partnership and help of the other clubs. And the first to thank you is the thanks is the Design Thinking Network that is helping us to organize this event. And we are trying to build up some partnership also with the marketing club, marketing management, the media entertainment club, and any other club in this school that want to join this show. So what's the Co-creation lab? The Co-creation lab is a learning and networking platform. We want to create to all of you that have an idea or have the skills. I want to join a team to work on a real project, a real venture, a real business venture or social business venture. The opportunity to have a practical learning aside from the academic learning that we are having here in the school, and also provide some mentoring activities. We are building some partnership with the Price, Kivazi, and Co-creation Hub Nigeria, and hopefully also with IDEO. I'm just launching a proposal right now. And we would like to give you the opportunity to build your dream and your idea. Matteo will explain you really quickly how is designed the learning program and which are the opportunities at the end.
Well, yeah, exactly. Basically, what we would like to do is to push you to create some teams and together work on your idea. Basically, as Orlando said, it's going to be not only a kind of classical learning process, but very practical. So we would like to organize some event outside the school as well as workshop here. Of course, these are preliminary workshop like this one about design thinking, but next activity that we're planning, they are the incubator trip. So we're going to visit an incubator here in San Francisco. And on the 29th, so next week, we're going to organize also the green brainstorming. That is going to be an informal meeting, which we can have a beer all together, we can know each other, sharing our idea, and getting ready for the event of Build. During this event, we are going to keep people together and create a team. Since the teams are going to be enrolled in our challenge, we start with some workshops that are listed in the timeline, and we would like to provide some metrics, marketing, as well as pitching, and understanding also the perspective of the investor. And in the end, of course, there will be a pitch event with all the teams who can, of course, pitch the idea. And as Rolando said, there are some prizes we're working on. That's it. More information, of course, are on www.comprehensionlab.org. And don't miss next event on the 29th for the beer brainstorming. Thanks.
The first beer recipe.
Yeah.
What time is that?
At 9? Or what time is this?
At 7.
7:30.
We're going to be at 7, but of course we're going to provide all the information through Facebook and all the channels. Right?
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Can people hear us? Is audio okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. So hello, thanks for having us. My name is Behrouz. I'm a global fellow with IDEO, and we have two lovely ladies from IDEO here.
I'm Jackie. I'm the communications team for our team.
I'm Allie. I'm assistant to Jocelyn and Teresa, two co-leads, and I also work on fundraising.
We're not going to do all of your names, but let's get some. I know this is a super international school. Who is not from the States? Yeah, wow. Who is from the States? Amazing. Okay, who has traveled the furthest? Let's figure this out. From Iran, high five. Where are you from? Who else had their hand up? Who thinks they're from
Right.
Australia, alright, so far.
Czech Republic. Czech Republic.
Oh, you're closer.
Yeah.
New Zealand. Who's further, New Zealand or Australia? Australia. Depends on which way you fly, I guess. Alright, so this is fantastic because a big part of what we do, what I do on IDEO work is working internationally. So it's fantastic to be in actually a room that has so much international understanding, and I guess there are a number of countless number of occasions where you compare your cultural backgrounds, and that actually becomes something meaningful for the project or the work that you do. And that's something we find very fascinating, very insightful. So we're going to have a presentation in two parts. We're going to try to go through it all fast so you guys have time for your workshop. So we're going to talk a little bit about our philosophy and how we work. So who is familiar with IDEO and IDEO work? Perfect, right, half an hour. So we're going to start with a little history of IDEO and IDEO work, and then a little bit about our work, and then a case study for you guys to actually tangibly see how we do our work. So IDEO originally is a product design firm that started around 30 years ago here in the Bay Area. And they've done classic projects like the first mouse, the first Apple laptop, some really trend-setting stuff. And they've been around, very close to the tech community and innovating with them. And slowly, their philosophies and their understanding of how to innovate and how to continuously innovate allowed them to start doing work in areas outside of product design. That involves organization design, systems, identity, communication. So now IDEO is actually this place where you find this amazing kind of eclectic mix of people that have worked on everything from designing snacks and food products to working with Bank of America, to working with the government. And it's really only the combination of people in there that allows them to be so versatile. And one of the core philosophies that allows IDEO to go so far in between
subject matters and topic areas, is that there's one thing that holds all of these things together. So every assignment at some point interfaces with the user and with the youth, right? So if you always have that as the tenet of your design approach, you have a place to start, and more than likely that will lead you to real insights, right? So this human-centered design approach is what we really define ourselves by. So, and this design approach has allowed us to work also across cultures, because once you take this approach, that allows you to actually get close to subject matter and get across maybe cultural differences that make it more challenging to work internationally. So what is this human-centered process, which we call HCD, that stands for human-centered design? Like any other design process, it's always a process of going really wide and then narrowing things back down, right? Same thing that we do for any design process, doing the brainstorm, going out, really trying to bring in out of inspiration things that wouldn't normally seem relevant, and actually finding connections between ideas, connecting them, and then looking at what's feasible, what's possible, what really works for our client with their budget and timeline, and narrowing down on real opportunities. One of the ways we like to say it is like when you send a paper plane out, it goes crazy. At some point, it looks like it's going to go out of control, but then it lands at the end. So you have to be comfortable with that craziness part, because unless you don't do that, you're not going to get to an idea that is new or is groundbreaking.
So, as we said earlier, IDEO started with a lot of product design, but they started shifting and being able to do a lot more in the service design and the systems design and business. And kind of down here at the bottom, Clean Team, one of the examples that really jump-started a lot of IDEO.org projects. IDEO started getting approached by social sector projects and really saw the value of using human-centered design in the social sector and saw just what impact it could make. Great. So a few years ago, it was in the fall of 2011, Jocelyn White and Patrice Martin decided to start IDEO.org. And this was primarily so that we could kind of get some different funding sources from foundations and start working with other partners and ultimately choose our projects not based on a partner's ability to pay, but based on the impact the project can actually make. So hence enter IDEO.org. And this is kind of a view of some of the sectors that we work in. Water and sanitation, agriculture, health, financial inclusion, gender equity, and community building. And so three of the major ways that IDEO.org works and primarily started through our design work. So this is just a sample of some of the design projects that we've done in the past from different ways of financial inclusion and banking. We have Parenting Out of Poverty was kind of an education-based project. Clean energy and solar power was one of them. So a wide range of different projects is how we really jump-started our design work. And then after we saw the effect that the design work could have, we wanted to find other ways to really bring human-centered design to the social sector in an even larger way. So right here, you'll see Behrouz, our front row center.
Same shirt, right? Same shirt.
We started a fellowship program, and this is the way that we saw to bring in really great potential for talent in the design world and in the social sector world, and really foster that talent to then go out and continue their own work with design thinking and human-centered design in mind. So this is the third class of fellows that we've had now, and they've all been really amazing. And so one of the other ways that we bring human-centered design to the social sector is by spreading human-centered design in our HCD toolkit, our HCD for Social Innovation course, which was run last summer with Plus Acumen, some of you might be familiar with, and also HCD Connect, which is another platform that we run with IDEO.org runs that brings in a community of over 40,000 users that work on social sector projects and bringing design to their own work all across the world.
And just so you know, this toolkit, there you go, I don't know what to say, is free and available online. So you can go download the whole thing, try the methods for yourself, and then once you do that,
then you can join the platform and you share your own stories. So HCD Connect is a place for you to share your experiences of how you've used human-centered design in the field and really connect to other people who are working on similar projects, maybe they're working on similar places or sectors, and really bouncing ideas off of other people because collaboration is the root of human-centered design.
how many thousands of members do you have on your CD? 43. So even, that's the amazing part of it, that in any area or any topic, you will find people actively working on it, and everybody is more than happy to share ideas and give feedback. So it's a great resource.
There's just a little peek at our Plus Acumen course. And the way that this ran is it was a 5-week course where, similar to what you guys are going to be doing with your workshops and working with teams, it brought together people that worked through an online course but with an offline team. So it kind of combined both the online and the offline factor to be able to learn all of the methods of human-centered design and then apply it to a real-world design challenge in your own community. So it was really successful. We had over 4,000 design teams that then went out and talked within their own community to create these solutions. And this is another way that we encourage human-centered design in the social sector.
You see also a lot of the slides have toilets in them. That's all for this.
Sanitation is a really big
Sanitation is a
one for
big
us.
You actually have a toilet calendar. It's amazing. It's like some extraordinary. Have you seen the calendar? Yeah, so let's get a little maybe more into the actual methods that we use, or some of I guess the habits that we try to have as designers. One is obviously getting out there. So if you claim that you have a human-centered approach, that means you have to go where your users are. And in a lot of our projects that means going to South America, Africa, we have Congo, Ethiopia, Kenya, and others. India is also another country we work in. And travel becomes a very important part of it, and becomes, the place where you put in the most number of hours, but also it's the most exciting part. So that's something to really come to terms with and embrace it as a part of your research. So why do we go out there? So we do user interviews, we do expert interviews, and what do we mean by analogous experiences is experiences that mimic the problem at hand, but are not necessarily. So for example, this is an IDEO story, but one of the teams that was thinking of redesigning the emergency room experience, they were thinking of they were asking themselves, what are other places where something needs to be done very precisely because it orchestrates a large group of people. And it was car racing tracks when they come to change tires, right? There's a lot of coordination that goes on, there's a lot of practice that goes on. So they went there to study how they train and how they get to that level of precision and bring those learnings back to the new instrument. And last, but to me most important, is in context immersion. No matter how much you read about something or how many interviews you do, the experience of being somewhere and kind of owning the experience from your own point of view gives you so many more layered types of insights that you wouldn't really get elsewhere. The other tendency we have is talking to extremes, right? So what we believe is talking to extremes of users or extremes of experts allows you to really understand behaviors around the problem much better. For example, recently we were in Ethiopia, and our assignment is to design tools for farmers who have regular sized plots that are a quarter of a hectare, and design a tool to help them plant this seed pellet. But to understand how the seed grows, what the problems are around it, the complexities. We had to both interview farmers who didn't have land, so farmers who rent land, for example, and farmers who had like 18 hectares of land. And we are not designing for those, right? But doing those interviews and going and seeing them allows you to really understand the extreme and the shape of the problem much better. The other one is, this idea of observing rather than having a conversation. Often people, when you ask them a question, like, do you floss? It's like, of course I do. Right? Who doesn't? And they might think that they do, and they might feel that they do, but they don't really do it. And when you ask them, okay, so did you floss today? It's like, no, today I was running late for a meeting, and didn't do it today. So the action always is different, and that's the one that lets you see the real circumstances of something versus the perception. But it's also valuable to know the perception of something versus what they do. So this idea of comparing real actions in the real world versus perceptions for resolutions of people this time of the year, that's a good one to get to the real things. Both internally and externally, we work with people from a variety of disciplines. So helping out here, we have business analysts, we have product designers,
We have a NASA engineer. We have social entrepreneurs. We have industrial designers, and a variety of backgrounds in our village process.
and what that really allows us to do is to get out of our our expert point of view, because once you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? So that really helps us to put our tools down and look at things from a well-rounded perspective, and come to it first from common sense, and secondly from expertise. Usually the expertise definitely are necessary, but later when you have really identified the real problem. If you go up to a problem and confront it with your expertise first, you will see it as a really different solution. For example, if you want to create conversations among, let's say, a certain group of users, if I'm a web designer, of course it's a website. Right? Or if I'm an event planner, of course it's an event. Right? It's only when other people come together that they have to realize what the real solution might be for working on. I think we already talked about this one in terms of the human-centered approach. But what makes both IDEO and IDEO work different is this top circle of the people. Right? Often when you approach a problem, you look at the technical solutions, the business feasibility of it, and whatever is in the middle is worthy of your being called a solution, right? But we think that the most important maybe, or the critical one, is where it overlaps with people's desires. Right? So think of a product, for example, like the MP3 player. It was technically possible, it sold, so there were a ton of MP3 players in the market until someone came along and said, this is like a very fragmented experience. You're almost stealing, files from the internet. You have to put it in this device and click on it. It's not desirable. Let's build a device that has a big spinning wheel and has a big display and makes a desirable experience. And all of a sudden, it becomes a phenomenon that it is. But it's technically the same thing. A big part of how we try to synthesize and communicate our own ideas within a group is by making things visual. So I wish I had a picture to show you, but we had one wall of Post-its that was all text, and one wall of Post-its that might have some text, but actually we were trying to draw the ideas that want to present. Your eye goes directly to the pictures, right? It's so much easier to grasp concepts quickly. So we continuously try to do this, both in our own work and when we try to communicate internally and externally. We really believe that making things visual is a much better tool than text for communication. And prototyping, that's a big one, right? Everybody knows fail fast, fail often, fail cheap. So to really do this, you need to build things and continue building them. Who has done the spaghetti marshmallow challenge? Wow, that's amazing. All right, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Don't look it up. Hopefully you will do it before you look it up. But it's an amazing one where That one's what? Spaghetti marshmallow challenge. It's great. So we talked about this already. So let's go into a case study and get a real sense of how all of these actually come into play in the real world. I'm going to tell you about the project we did in the Democratic Republic of Congo last year. The project actually wrapped up right before the new year. And so to give you a little bit of the context. So the project site is a region called the Kabare region, and the city is called Bukavu. Bukavu is right on the border of Rwanda and Congo. It's this amazingly beautiful place, not that different from San Francisco actually. You have 700,000 people. You have kind of a dense urban setting. But when you enter the place, you realize that there is no pavement, there is no electricity, or there is electricity on and off. There is no public school system. There is no water system for the city, and this place is actually still running. So this is where we enter. And what has happened in this region is that a lot of international aid has come in, with a set budget, the standard international aid model, that has come in to villages like this. And on absolute best intentions, people have set up clinics or water points that serve these villages. But what happens naturally is because it's international, it's foreign aid, there's a timeline for the project, the budget ends, you wrap up, and you leave. And you've already created dependencies to the clinic or other services, and it really creates a problem on two fronts. One is trusting services and desiring them, because once you kind of do this on-off thing, after a while, I'm not going to use the service because I don't know when it's going to be done. Right? And secondly, because it's international aid, likely you want to provide subsidies because most of the villages can't afford full price, like no one can afford full price of healthcare anywhere in the world. But what happens is that you undercut local businesses, right? Whether they're pharmacies or they're clinics, you're undercutting them. So the guy who was doing it sustainably goes out of business. And then you know that you're going to go out of business. By the time you're gone, that guy has closed shop. So now you have a village without a clinic. So we set up to do something different. We said, let's see who's the most active people. It's these mamas. Right? And these mamas, and that's what everybody calls each other, mamas and papas. Nobody is like sir and ma'am, it's mama and papa. That's great. So these mamas are basically the ones really running these villages. Both like from taking care of children to making sure they go to school, to making sure the whole household is functioning. And even though there is not that much cash on hand in these villages, they do a lot of complex financial practices. For example, we saw a lot of circles of women. There was this circle of 200 or 400 widows that had collected together. They would pool their money together, and each month one of them would take the money, go do business with it, bring it back, take the profits, and share some of the profits and keep the rest of the money. Which would allow them to create small businesses, whether it's selling stuff or it's actually renting a farm tool or renting animals, enabling each other to do that stuff. But all of them said the first thing they do with the money is buy. So looking great is a big motivation. So what the project set out to do was to address under 5 mortality. And the problem is in this area, because of the non-existent health infrastructure, you have 1 in 5 children die before the age of 5, which creates all kinds of problems. Right? Like not only it's a big emotional toll on the population, it creates lots of additional costs for people living, and when you aggregate all of this, you have a society that's functioning, but is spending actually a lot of resources on health of their children. And the ironic thing is that this kind of 1/5 of children who die is all from, or easily like 90% from preventable diseases, like diabetes. So it's definitely, given what I was telling you in terms of the traditional NGO approach, it's time to try something different. So what we set out to do was to set up a business instead. So now imagine that pool of money that I talked about, that we know as an NGO we have to go and give services. Let's take that pool of money and look at it as our seed money. So now we have startup money for our business. So what we'll do is now we'll go to this place and work with people to see what kind of business can we run here that would bring the same services to the village. Right? So we have the seed money, then instead of spending a lot of that money on our own NGO staff and taking them with us to Congo, which is great because they're qualified, what we will do is we will have a good chunk of that money spent on management and training, but then instead of paying salary to our own staff, we're going to pay salary now to these entrepreneurs that join this venture with us. Right? And obviously, to do something like this, you need to really work with the community. There's no way that you can enforce community-driven business from the outside. So the goals that we had for this project was to reduce under-5 mortality, work with a sustainable business model, eventually have the community own the solution. That was a very key differentiator for us. And over time, try to have this business become sustainable and look at it as a platform model. Right? So if we know that there are a variety of needs in a place like the villages that we work in, we know that healthcare and water are primary. If you don't have those things, people don't care about school or quality of school as much. Once you have these three, you're going to look at, okay, let's start another business venture. Maybe it's a mobile phone outlet. Once you have these four, you're going to kind of slowly build on this platform. So that's how we're looking at it. And the way we went about it is by getting the community to build the service instead of us building it. So what we decided to do is become facilitators for the whole project and go out, find people who have opinions, are active in their community, are trusted, and are these local leaders, and get the local leaders to design the business. So you can see in this board behind them, we introduced the services that we think we can run. We introduced the roles that we think should be in place, and then we asked them, okay, how should we set this thing up, right? You can see like on the top left of the sheet of paper there's a water point, that there's water going down. And I've been drawing these on the board, but based on their instructions, right? So we decided together how these things should work, and we tried a few different combinations of them. So everybody was brainstorming, taking notes. Then what we did was to understand how the personnel should work, both from the functional logistics perspective of how many people do we need, what time should they come to work, what qualifications do they need, all that stuff, and all the way to how will they uphold the brand, all these abstract questions that we ask, and we believe it actually should be asked for all services. How do you make sure this is the nicest experience you give at a client? So what we did was we gave everybody who was participating in this design practice a role. Thanks so much. We gave them a role, and we got them to act out a day at the clinic, which was also great because what we did at the end was basically we observed what they taught us by acting out. We documented that, we double-checked it with them, we designed practices, brochures, training material around that, and handed it off to American refugee community who is implementing this project. And the beauty is that once they start in the same villages, who people have designed it, they will immediately see the connection. So there's already a lot of groundwork that has been done. We did this fake money to see how transactions happen, called barcodes, and see the barcodes. And we had this really fun experience where we were sitting in the room and interviewing. This was our second or third round of interviews to get deeper into the ideas. And we realized that these ladies were kind of chit-chatting between themselves and laughing at the wall. And they had seen their own names on the interview summaries that we have done. And it was also, I guess, a great kind of trust building that they see how much energy and time we spend really understanding the interviews that we've done. So in each of those sheets, what we do is we put the name up, the village, kind of quick info about the interviewee, and then we go through the interview and pick the highlights that resonate with us. That's really kind of where all the insights come from. That's the nuts and bolts of our human-centered approach. So the end result is a ceiling. This community-owned startup that is aiming at reducing under 5 childhood mortality, but really is achieving a lot of other things to that end. And the platform model, what it means is that we start from water and health. There's some nutritional aspects of this program, and we know that later on there will be agriculture. There is mobile coverage all over Africa, spreading much faster than anywhere else in the world. So we know that's going to become a main driver of this business. And then you continue from there, right? You can have education, maybe some energy. And the beauty of the platform model is that once you look at it that way, then you become a gateway for products who want to have access or should have access to these villages. All they need to do is come to you, and you can grant them access to, come by the side of the water point and showcase their, solar lantern program, or come and go to the school and offer their educational services. That's what they need. Okay, I already told you why it's different. So, I'll maybe also mention this quick detail around how we look at the financial model for something like this. Is that, like I mentioned, basically healthcare is never sustainable without subsidies. Nowhere in the world healthcare can be offered without government subsidies. And the challenge is a place like Congo, there is no subsidies for healthcare, or very minimal or very unevenly spread, especially in villages that are so outside of the network. So we already know that this project is not going to be sustainable as a business. But what we can do is we can design it as a sustainable business. And then instead of doing the traditional, raise funds, go spend it all, come back for funds, we actually plan for it. And we say, we know that we have, $1.5 million gap. And we know that we will have this need for a long time. But in a way, we can basically allow people to invest in something or donate to something that keeps the service going. And hopefully over time, we can work on other circumstances, like getting government subsidy, like having those other businesses subsidize health, for example, to close the gap. Right? But it's in a way, it's a much more honest model of developing a business for a place like Eastern Congo. So thank you for listening. We're open to questions. Most challenging overall?
Yeah.
Dealing with these guys. You want to answer that? My work and your work is slightly different, right? I think what I find challenging is developing a point of view about the topic that you're into. And you have to be very careful how you go about that. There's a lot of tendency to jump to conclusions in everyone as a person. So it's very important to find the balance of when are you informed enough to develop a point of view about something. And how do you, as a consultancy firm, this idea of finding the balance between being a consultant and an expert, and who are these experts that can inform a project. We obviously don't want to kind of cross over to expertise. We always want to be this instigator and this kind of aggregator of information until you think you are at a place that you can put your foot down and be like, this is our perspective. And so on.
How was the communication with those people? And also, you just got to the country, how can you find those leaders and how can you manage to put them all in the room and make them accountable with your project?
That's a great question. So a big part of what we do and a big advantage that we have is amazing partners that we work with, right? So to give you the example on this project, we were working with American Refugee Community. They have over 30 years of experience around the world, and what they had done already is they had set up an office, 2-3 months before we got there, that already offered some services, that already created these links, right? So that's very important. You really can't jump into a situation and get any results like this.
And a lot of that also comes with our business development team and really making sure that we're bringing on the right partners that are in the right place that can handle and have a great relationship with the market going and whatever challenges we're tackling.
So we're going to do one more question just because you guys are going to start a workshop, but we are around during the workshop to talk and yeah, so go ahead.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. You haven't spoken about the business model that you use, but do companies approach you or you guys approach companies in general?
Yeah, so our business development team gets a lot of requests to kind of send design teams out to work with different partners. They can be other nonprofits, foundations, social enterprises sometimes. So we have a wide range of partners, and the way it usually works is that they come to us with a challenge, with an idea of what the project is going to be, and they provide the funding for the IDEO.org team to go and work in the field with those partners. And depending on if they are a nonprofit or if they are an organization that doesn't necessarily have the ability to pay, but we see a lot of value in the project that they propose, then it could mean some work on our side and getting the funding from another partner and bringing in 3, maybe 4 partners. The project in Congo had American Refugee Committee was our main client, but they probably had a list of 6 or 7 other people on there that were also helping out.
Easily 6 times. So, I know you guys are starting your workshop, so we are also going to contribute a case study to the workshop. And if you guys want to take it on, amazing. If not, no problem, go work on your own.
Oh, I know. Kind of.
Alright, so we're currently working on a project called Drones for Good. And Bay Area is not the market of drone technology, and everybody's going crazy. There's lots of cool things happening. Definitely check it out if you haven't, gotten into the whole drone craze. What we're specifically focusing on is last mile healthcare delivery, which means that last bit of access to rural areas where it's traditionally done by land cruiser, motorcycle, on foot, places that you really don't have this infrastructure to support either medicine delivery or actual healthcare services. I'm not going to take too much of your time. This project brief is on our website. So if any team is interested in taking this on with us, and we'll join your team and we'll brainstorm together. Just take it on and manifest. We are talking to a lot of different, we don't have a client for this is an exploration project. So we are basically researching this and then bringing people together to get inspired and work on it. So if you want to work on this with us, maybe let's meet here, but then I'll leave it to workshop organizers to get it done.
And is this something that you'd be interested in the future as well? Because I'm just wondering if we may not have the chance to follow 1 hour workshop now, is this something that can be done in an hour?
Well, we can do a quick brainstorm together if anyone's interested. If not, just come talk to me if you're interested. We have just started this project.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you.
So, I found this very inspiring. I'm just going to give you some points that I picked up. So, talk to the extremes, understand and observe, work with other disciplines. If you've got a hammer, it might not be a nail. Consider the system, make it visual, and prototype early and often. So, anyway, now I'll hand you over to the so you can network.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the speech. Just really quickly, we have separated you all into groups already, and we're going to call out your names, and then you just follow your coaching emails from the network. And I wanted to take this time to just quickly let you know what we do, because I don't think we have really communicated that yet. What we're going to do is we have member sessions where we communicate, concepts, methods of design thinking, and kind of get our hands dirty. What we also do is do workshops and staff and students work on whole related problems. And in case you guys have realized this, we had a workshop last year and one of the outcomes was that is a hot sheet. So if you're interested in improving what we are already doing pretty much and working with us on it, join us on March 1st. We have another mobile workshop there. So go to team one.
All right. So we'll have 8 teams. We'll call out the teams. We'll have coaches for each team and a group assigned, and you randomly assigned. Our friends from IDEO are just going to throw out another case. So teams 1 through 4 will be working on the drone case and come up with a couple of ideas and prototypes to brainstorm on this topic, and then there'll be another case, as far as I understood, which team 5 through 8 will be working on. So teams 1 to 4 go out, then the case is introduced, and then teams 5 to 8 go. So team 1, which is in room 201, please go up there. It's Mansi from MSE, Sarah Mirkovic from the MIM, Kate from Russia, Florian from the MSE, and lastly, Bernardo from the MBA from Brazil. Alright, see you guys up there.
Team two.
Yeah, and there's team 2 who are in room 202. That's Sharif El Sheikhi from the MIM. Then there's Marsh Röger from Germany, MIM. There's Behrouz Hariri from the MSE. There's Arezzo Halapsis, and then there's Isabel. You guys are in team 3.
Team three.
Okay, for team 3, we're going to room 203. There's Mahesh from India, Diana from Mexico, MSc. Fila, I'm not sure, from Germany, female, MSc. Kathy from Hong Kong, MIM. Moritz from Germany, MIB. 203, 203 West, team 3.
Alright, team 4.
Team 4, we have Shruti, MIM, Sayan Karo, MSE alumni, Arthur Sosa, Brazil, MSE, Katie Del Villar, MSE, and Gracie, MIM. Room 205.
Team 5, room 206. We have Jose from MSc Egypt, Andrew from IM Indonesia, Maria from Brazil, IM. MSc, and Dario from IDEO. Team 206.
Team 6, we're meeting 207, that is Leanne from MIM, I think, female, New Zealand. There's Stefano Picker from the MBA. Catherine Stencil, Hilda from the MSc, and Arnold from the MIM. We're meeting in room 207. Alright.
So team 7, 215. We have Chaser, Canada, yes, Anna from
There's some bands that we
and Diego from Venezuela.
I don't know what I'm not in the breakdown, but those are the two that.
Okay, so we're in team 8.
So and I can bring them together.
Okay, awesome. Team 8 is Erica, I'm gonna get you on this message teams that we have.
Chris,
Yeah. Yes.
We're in 216.
216. Does someone does have a team? Does not have a team?
Does anyone in here not have a team and would like to join one? Alright, if you guys want to join one, let's just make it easy. We have two of you, two of them. Join one of the teams.
Thank you, guys.
Ready for the draw project.
We have on, but I don't know where they are. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's fancy, but it's culture as in like your internal culture.
And all of that, yeah, it's a team, yeah, and staffing is just for a while.
Well, I mean, a pretty important thing for any of the projects that we do is pay hours, and so they're going to partner to be networking so we're going out to do it, we have a team just as large which most of us, and that's not design challenge, not really part. So we like combine that along with projects we do, and I'm still like consultants, like new architecture, really doesn't feel like I have a story, you know, just like the background sounds like
No, I definitely understand like trying to get by.
yeah.
I want to study it, so I work on
the slide deck, trying like to put the slide deck
I'm going to study this like English, English history, and I worked 2 years on college.
It just takes me a little bit of time.
I think the core comes down to how you approach your business very groundbreaking. Because obviously when you get design things, like your head is trying to go really hard and up with all these like, oh, it could be that solution, it could be that solution. So disconnecting that initial reaction to a problem and saying, let's backtrack, forget about solutions. Let's think of what
The one that you got, education one, that
and start grounding our insights in what we're doing. Some things that maybe they don't seem related at all at the very beginning, and you find out they're actually like this So it's true, it's difficult. Everyone comes in with something that's like, oh, this could be a great idea. But seeing how you can really erase those biases and start from
Yeah, the thing is, we develop.
Yeah, well, that's really the difference between, that's why it's hard because we always grasp the idea of like, technically we are CGI.